Chase Elliott has had a season he'd just as soon forget. 2023 for the 2020 champ, and his fans will be remembered for all the wrong reasons. A snowboarding injury followed by a suspension have been the main headlines, not his performance. At this weekend's race at New Hampshire, Elliott finished 12th. During the race broadcast, Dale Earnhardt Jr. finally agreed with his NBC colleagues that the Hendrick Motorsports driver could no longer get into the playoffs on points, but was now in a must-win situation. The two-time Daytona 500 champion addressed Elliott and the playoff bubble battle this week on his podcast and painted an ugly picture for the 27-year-old driver if his team misses out on making the postseason. This video is brought to you by our new sponsor, SimpliSafe. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. It's summertime. For me, that means going on vacation and enjoying some NASCAR racing. Already checked off the box for Chicago. While the race itself was a blast, it was more enjoyable because I had peace of mind knowing that my home, more than 1,000 miles away, was safe and secure. That's because I use SimpliSafe's smart alarm camera and LiveGuard protection. What exactly is it? LiveGuard protection is an exclusive feature that includes professional monitoring agents that can see and speak to any unwanted guest in your home. In other words, stopping crime in real time, and it's all part of the whole home SimpliSafe system. You might think providing this high level of security and peace of mind is expensive. Think again. It's less than $1 a day or half of what you might pay for other home security brands. And there are no long-term contracts, so you can start and stop without any hidden fees. And setup is so easy. The system is delivered straight to your door and you can set it up in no time using the user-friendly app that walks you through the process of setting up each device. The app is also great because it allows you to monitor your cameras 24/7 and arm or disarm the system. Seriously guys, if you're looking for some peace of mind when you head off to any races this summer or the rest of the season, I can't recommend SimpliSafe and LiveGuard protection enough. Easy setup, no long-term contract, less than $1 a day, a great app, and most importantly, you know your home will receive first-class protection. Now is your chance to get all of this and save 20% on your SimpliSafe security system when you sign up for a Fast Protect plan. You'll also get your first month free. For this great offer, go check it out at simplisafe.com/ATCF. Thanks again to SimpliSafe for sponsoring this video. This time a year ago, Chase Elliott was on a heater, alternating between wins and runner-up finishes over a span of 4 races. Then, at Pocono, he thought he finished 3rd. So did everyone else, at least for an hour or so. Then NASCAR went and made history by disqualifying the winner Denny Hamlin and runner-up finisher Kyle Busch in the infamous tape gate. Elliott was declared the winner, 3 wins in 5 races. Elliott unsurprisingly became the title favorite. However, after that incredibly high point, it was effectively downhill from there, with a notable decline for the number 9 team. Over the season's final 15 races, he scored just 5 top 10 results, including a win at Talladega. He also had 6 races where he finished 20th or worse, not anything resembling a champion or what he had looked like earlier in the year. He didn't win the championship and came into 2023, as do all drivers, hopeful for a better result. Just 2 races into this year's campaign, Elliott's season came to an abrupt halt before it ever really got started when he injured his knee in a snowboarding accident. Surgery and a 6-week unwanted vacation. Who would have guessed that would be the first of 2 times he'd sit out during the season? The other occurred 6 races later in June, when NASCAR ordered him to sit out a race as a punishment for intentionally wrecking Denny Hamlin in the Coca-Cola 600. Those combined absences put the driver in a hole as far as points, especially compared to where he was a year earlier. Despite that deficit, many suggested the HMS driver could still make it into the postseason on points because he's good at earning stage points. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has been saying it for weeks. Even after finishing 13th at Atlanta, Earnhardt said Elliott was still capable of pointing his way in. Then, New Hampshire happened, and the HMS team struggled for much of the day. How bad? This week's Radioactive on NASCAR Race Hub included audio from the number 9 team radio, and the driver summed up his day and season all in a few words.
I don't feel like it's any better. Just same.
Earnhardt was up in the broadcast booth at New Hampshire watching the number 9's performance. He changed his mind on the air and then talked about his reversal on his podcast.
I was a believer in Chase pointing his way in. I was the only maybe one. It was me and Marty Snyder, and the rest of the crew, Burton, Latarton, all of them, they were all, man, he's got to win, he's got to win. They've been saying this for weeks. Well, they're now grinning and happy because they've won out.
A few minutes later, after talking about his growing interest in the developing playoff bubble battle between those guys who can get in on points, Jr. returned to Elliott, and in his true unfiltered way, painted a pretty bleak picture for the driver and his team if they don't get that win and miss out on the postseason.
Going to be interesting now that Chase is pretty much in a must-win. It's going to be interesting watching that bubble battle. I love it. I think it's fascinating. No, these guys probably aren't going to win a championship this year. They're not going to factor into the Final Four, I don't believe. But the bubble battle still is just something fun to talk about. It's important to them, right? It matters to them. When you do not make the playoffs, it is freaking embarrassing.
Yes.
And especially when you don't and a teammate does, even worse. And there is no way that your team owner just mashes the reset button in the offseason and lets y'all go again. He's changing something. Because there's no, there's no, if you don't make a change, you're assuming that
you're okay with
it. So, yeah, if you miss the playoffs, you can expect things to be different about your program next season in some way or another. So crew chiefs don't love that. Engineers don't love that. People get a little bit nervous and apprehensive and anxious when they're watching this bubble battles.
Is Alan Gustafson feeling the pressure? According to Earnhardt, you bet he is. Now it's a matter of how he manages it and if he can convert that pressure into performance. Whatever the answer to that question is will determine if he's back on the number 9 car in 2024.